There's something sacred about early mornings by the lake. The air smells like pine and promise. The water's glassy, calm. Not a ripple, except where fish tease the surface. That lake? It runs along the edge of our property. Deeded, mapped, and bought long before the HOA across the ridge even existed. My wife, Lydia, loves to fish there. Not for sport, for stillness. She says it reminds her of being deployed. That quiet right before chaos. Most people don't understand what that means. Karen definitely didn't. Now, before you think this is your typical nosy neighbor story, let me set one thing straight. Karen wasn't just nosy. She was president of the local HOA, the self-appointed queen of community standards. Clipboard always in hand. Sunglasses too big for her face. Lipstick sharp enough to cut through barbed wire. She had opinions, especially about things she didn't own. The first time she saw Lydia down by the dock, she squinted from her balcony like someone had just parked a dumpster in her rose garden. The second time, she walked her little poodle closer, peeking over our fence, whispering loud enough for everyone to hear. Some people have no sense of decorum. We ignored her. But on the third day, the one I'll never forget, she came down herself. It was around 7:30 a.m. I was loading the cooler into our old John boat. Lydia was prepping her rods, sleeves rolled up, hair pulled back. The sun had barely cleared the ridge when we heard footsteps stomping down the gravel path. "Excuse me," Karen snapped, already halfway across our lawn like she'd been summoned by a divine HOA signal. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" Lydia didn't even look up. "Fishing." Karen pointed at her with that damn clipboard. "This is a private lake. For HOA members only. You're not registered. And you certainly don't live here." Lydia calmly set her tackle box down. "We live on this property," she said, not raising her voice. "We own this stretch of shoreline." Karen smirked. The kind of smirk you only see on reality TV villains right before they get humiliated. "Oh, sure. And I'm a Navy SEAL," she said mockingly. Now here's the thing about my wife. She doesn't talk tough. She doesn't need to. The silence is the warning. And Karen? She just crossed a line she didn't even know existed. Karen stood there, still smirking, waving that clipboard like it had divine authority. "I've never seen either of you at an HOA meeting," she said, shifting her sunglasses down like we were a couple of trespassers. "This dock belongs to our community. I suggest you pack up before I call security." Lydia straightened up. No sudden moves. Just that slow, surgical calm she always carried when she knew something others didn't. "I already told you," she said. "We own this side of the lake. It's outside your HOA jurisdiction. Maybe check the property lines before making threats." Karen took a step closer. "I don't care what kind of squatter's map you printed off Google. I know this lake, and I know you don't belong here." I opened my mouth to speak, but Lydia raised her hand, a silent signal that said, "I've got this." Then she rolled up her left sleeve. That's when it happened. There on her forearm, just above the wrist, the trident, bold, black, permanent, the unmistakable insignia of the U.S. Navy SEALs. Not the kind you buy at a gift shop. The kind you earn through hell. Karen's eyes locked on it. And for the first time since she stomped down that path, she went completely silent. But the silence didn't end with her. From behind, we heard someone clear their throat, a low, gravelly voice filled with both age and authority. "Ma'am," he said, "did I just see what I think I saw?" We turned. Standing a few feet away on the path was Commander Harlan Maddox, retired Navy SEAL, community veteran, and someone Karen always liked to name drop when pretending she respected the military. Now he was staring straight at Lydia's arm, eyes wide, expression unreadable. Lydia gave a calm nod. "Task Force Trident, East Africa, 2011. Harlan took a slow breath, and then did something I'll never forget. He stood tall, heels together, shoulders squared, and saluted her. A perfect, practiced, deliberate salute. Karen's mouth dropped open. "This woman," Harlan said, turned to Karen and the small crowd now gathering nearby, "has done more for this country than any HOA policy ever could." Karen stammered, I didn't know. You didn't ask, Lydia replied. You assumed. The silence after Lydia's words hung in the air like fog. Karen blinked fast, her grip tightening on that clipboard, like it could protect her from what just happened. Around us, the handful of people who'd been walking the trail had stopped. A few whispered. A man from across the water lowered his coffee. Even the HOA's little drone, hovering nearby, seemed to pause midair. Harlan broke the tension. You pulled out the team from the ambush in Gillib, didn't you? He said to Lydia, quiet and respectful. She nodded. We lost 3, saved 12. Karen looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. I didn't mean anything by it, she said, her voice suddenly higher, fake sweetness creeping back in. It's just that people come here all the time without. Without what? I cut in. Without fitting your idea of what belongs. Karen opened her mouth, but Lydia held up her hand again. Still calm, still composed. That calm, it was scarier than shouting. You judged me because I didn't match your HOA fashion guide, she said. Didn't ask a question. Didn't introduce yourself. You assumed I didn't belong on my own land. Commander Harlan turned toward Karen. Do you even know where your HOA's boundary ends? Karen blinked. Well, I think... You think wrong, he said flatly. The Hankins own this parcel outright. It's never been part of your HOA. In fact, if you'd read the original development map, you'd see this stretch of shoreline predates the entire neighborhood. Karen stepped back. The drone above clicked, still recording. Harlan nodded toward it. Hope your board enjoys reviewing this footage. The crowd chuckled. Karen flushed beet red. Someone nearby clapped. Then another. It rippled through the gathering. And just like that, the power shifted. No more HOA queen. No more clipboard threats. Just a quiet woman with a fishing rod. And the respect of the one man even Karen didn't dare argue with. We stayed at the lake that day. Fished until the sun dipped behind the ridge. A few people came by to offer her quiet thank yous. One young guy in a Marine's cap asked Lydia for advice on his cast. Karen didn't say another word. She just walked back up the path, slower than before, her heels crunching the gravel like a retreating army. 2 weeks passed after the lake incident. I didn't think much would come of it, but I was wrong. The HOA's board met privately the following weekend. We didn't attend, of course. No interest in petty politics. But someone leaked the drone footage. Lydia's calm words, Karen's snide remarks, Harlan's salute. It spread faster than gossip at a church picnic. The next Monday, an envelope arrived. Official, county seal. It was an apology. Apparently, the HOA had filed informal claims over the lakefront for years, tried to assert community access to areas they had no legal rights to. Nothing enforceable, just bluster and intimidation. But now, thanks to Lydia, it had backfired. The county redrew the HOA boundary lines, formally and publicly. Our shoreline was officially off limits to any HOA enforcement, permanently. 3 days later, Karen resigned. Her email was short. Personal stress, she wrote. Unjust accusations. No one bought it. Word got out that half the board had turned on her after the footage went public. Even her husband stopped showing up at community mixers. But we didn't celebrate. Lydia never wanted a war, just her peace. She got it. A week later, I built her a small dock bench. Strong cedar, polished clean. Lydia added one thing, a flagpole. She didn't raise it the first day. But on Veterans Day morning, as the fog rolled off the lake, she stood by the dock, reached into an old wooden box, and pulled out 2 flags. First, the American flag, and below it, the Navy SEAL trident. It fluttered in the wind, strong, still, and silent. A couple neighbors watched from across the water. One saluted. No one objected. Beneath the flag, I carved a simple wooden sign. Respect isn't claimed. It's earned. Since then, no one's ever questioned her again. And Karen? Well, last I heard, she moved out, closer to the city, where the lakes are artificial, and the people don't fish. But out here, this lake is quiet. The mornings are peaceful. And my wife, She still fishes,